Hello and welcome to the Merlin Locke podcast. I'm Merle.
And I'm Locke.
Set sail and low expectations for everything nerd, accompanied by a healthy, albeit shameful helping of pointless banter, lack of focus, and questionably acquired knowledge. Alright, Locke, to start us off here, we like ourselves some spooky games, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah. so it's something that we play often, and
we totally didn't play last night.
yeah, right. And we'll play these games and we'll get the crap scared out of us for so long. And it's always been a question in my mind as to what is the actual appeal of spooky games. Why do we like getting spooked?
I think we like that adrenaline that comes after the fact. We know that it's not real. I mean, the more immersive the game, the better it is for the scares. And when it's the group of us, we get to laugh at each other. So
yeah, I think that's one of the biggest appeals, especially to me, is playing with other people and seeing them get scared. Right? It's so funny.
all right.
And I love seeing it, and being able to share in that experience with other people is pretty great. If we were to think about the single player scary games, horror games, that's something that I did quite a lot of. Like I used to play a lot of single player horror games, and I remember like playing games like Amnesia and Canarium and what else, Soma, the Cthulhu games, like all kinds of games.
Right.
And I remember playing with them and just being completely spooked. I would like turn off the lights and everything and just be completely, like, my anxiety would be through the roof the entire time playing it. And it was just so hard to put it down because, like, I don't know what it was exactly, but I felt like I couldn't stop because I wasn't safe, right? Like when you put down a game, you like, or say your mom's calling you to come set the table for dinner or something. You're like, wait, let me get to a safe spot real quick. Right. So you try to find that safe spot. You know, just using that as an analogy for what I'm getting into.
Yep.
But
already thought about it. Where is a safe spot in a horror game?
Yeah, right. So like I would never feel safe, so I didn't feel like I could stop. Right.
Right.
Like I would play for so long because I just couldn't find a good spot to stop. I remember like going through it, anxiety being through the roof, and I would be on edge the whole time and getting scared left and right. And then like by the end of it, I was just like, oh, thank God it's over, you know? But then when I think about that, it's like I question as to why I played it in the first place. If I felt so much, relief at the end where I was like, oh, thank God. Like, it's not something I had to put myself through to get that relief at the end. Like, I could have just not played it and I would have been completely fine. Why the hell did I put myself through that? I don't know. Like, it was like this. I don't know. I guess it felt like rewarding. Like if you put yourself through hell, right? And then you get to the end of it and you feel so much relief. But usually when you like put yourself through hell, like there's usually something on the other end, right? Like you're working towards something. You're trying to accomplish something. But this was just a video game I was torturing myself with until I got to the end. I was like, oh, okay, cool, I'm done. Never playing this again.
Right.
You know? Like, what is it that keeps dragging us back? I don't know what experience you have with single-player horror games.
I never made it too far into single-player horror games.
Right,
I've played some, like Resident Evil Resident Evil 7, I think it was. It was the one that was kind of like PT at the beginning, where you're like walking through this house. You're like searching for your fiance or something. People would be tearing me up, being like, "No, wrong, wrong." It wasn't fiance. I don't remember exactly.
Was it like Silent Hill or?
No, it was Resident Evil. It just wasn't like all the other Resident Evils. It had like the family in the house. That's kind of like the virus was starting in this house. You got the father. I remember the grandmother.
Oh, so you're talking about Biohazard?
Yes, Biohazard. That's the one.
Oh yeah, where you got that like you get into that house where it's a bunch of like hillbilly dudes.
Yes. Yeah.
Or hillbilly family, and yeah, your girlfriend or something, she goes nuts.
I mean, I made it further in Biohazard than I made it in Outlast.
Okay. All right. Yeah, Outlast was one I haven't played yet. I haven't played that.
Outlast first bit where you end up falling through the floor and this guy's just like, "I have you now." I was just like, "Yep," and that's where I stopped playing.
Just like, nope, had enough. I'm good.
I think my nephew was there with me while I was playing it, and I never revisited it. I've wanted to, but I guess just having somebody there to kind of poke fun to made me want to try it. Because then when I would try to turn the game over, say my nephew, I say, "You want to play it now?" He goes, "Nope."
Oh man, I guess that is pretty fun. Like just enjoying horror games with your friends is a lot more fun, I think, than like even if it's, one person playing and you got your buddy watching you play. I feel like that's a much better experience than playing it like solely by yourself. Because I mean, me playing those games by myself, I didn't have anybody to chat with or to laugh at me. I was just a panicked mess for however many hours the game was. But I find like all these cooperative horror games that are coming out and are pretty. I think my first experience with that was Dead Space, right? Like I love the Dead Space series, and when Dead Space 3 came out, I saw that it was cooperative play, and I didn't know who to play with, so I was in North Carolina at the time. That's where I was living at the time. And I called up my cousin who was going to college in Wyoming. And I was like, "Hey, man, look this game up, Dead Space 3, on the internet and tell me what you think of it." And he looked it up. He said it looked pretty cool. He wanted to try it out. So I bought us both the game, right? And I sent it out to him.
Right.
And we played the crap out of that game. It was so much fun. Like that was my first experience cooperatively playing, in a horror game, and it was awesome. And I know that game got crapped on a lot because people are like, "This isn't Dead Space. That's not what Dead Space is about. It's about, being alone and suffering or whatever." And I was like, "Yeah, true. I mean, that was one of the big things with playing the first and second Dead Space. But then that cooperative play, it was so enjoyable, and I absolutely loved it. It didn't feel like Dead Space necessarily, but it was a lot of fun being able to play with someone else and sharing in the horror."
I mean, I get what they're saying, because that's what makes it more terrifying, is being alone.
Right. Yeah.
So I just don't really play those games by myself. I would absolutely be down for having recordings of us playing horror games together on the channel at some point. I hope we can get to that point. I hope we can get the things that we need to do it.
That'd be a lot of fun. I'd enjoy that.
And I feel another thing that might get me to actually want to play even more horror games, if at all possible, is with a VR. Because that'll be a whole new thing of me freaking out.
Yeah. Okay. So I've only played one horror game on the VR, and that was I think it was called Emily Wants to Play.
Right.
Something like that. And yeah, I was at a buddy's house, and he just got done setting up his VR, and he wanted me to try it out. He's like, check out this game on the VR, right? Like, I'm pretty sure he warmed us up with something more carefree, something like it was like job simulator or something like that.
Right, yeah.
We have like all these floating computer people that you can throw food at and stuff.
That's it.
Yeah. So I think he warmed us up with that, and then he wanted to play Emily Wants to Play. I was like, okay. So I put on the VR and I go into this world, and it just scares the living crap out of me. Like, cause I was trying to figure out, like, I kept hearing, like, giggling and stuff, and I was, like, walking around this house, and there's, like, notes everywhere, and apparently you're, like, the pizza guy or something, and you're just, like, for some reason you go into this person's house, and I don't know why you would do that, but you go to the person's house, and you're looking around trying to figure out what happened to these people, and yeah, all of a sudden the lights start going off, and you turn the light switch on as fast as you can because it's pitch black, and like you look behind you and you see this little person standing there, and it's so unsettling, and like eventually it caught me. I wasn't able to get the light switch on quick enough, and it just does this like creepy animation thingy. But like it was weird, right? Because when I turned on the light switch, like I tried to look behind me to see where she was, and I saw a foot in my screen, and I looked up and she was on top of my head. And it was like a little buggy moment, but I was like, what the heck? And then it plays the animation where she I think she screams in your face or something like that.
Right. And
I just ripped off the VR. I was like, oh, fuck. Just scared the crap out of me. And yeah, it was a lot of fun, but I never touched it after that. I was like, that's a little disorienting, a little much for me, I think.
I'm pretty sure that's the same person, if I'm thinking right. Same person who ended up getting me to play Five Nights at Freddy's, thinking it was just going to be the funniest moment for him to watch.
Oh,
it was
okay.
First night of Five Nights at Freddy's, which, mind you, is probably the easiest night that you could possibly have.
Right.
If you have a rough night on the first night of Five Nights at Freddy's, then
boy, are you in for it.
Right. He was just watching intently. It's whilst he anticipated just shit would hit the fan, and things didn't really come after me until it was already over.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And all of a sudden the little ding, 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 yay! All that happens. And he's like, what? My first night was terrible.
Oh, man. That's a funny one. Because, that's the one that I've never played myself, but it's made its rounds on the internet,
Absolutely.
Especially when it first came out. Because that was how I initially discovered that YouTube Let's Plays were a thing. Because I had no idea about them until Five Nights at Freddy's came out, and I saw the recommended on Steam, and I was like, what is this game about? So I quick Google search, and then it shows this person, it showed a video of a person playing the game. I was like, oh, what is this? And I click on it, and it was this guy called Markiplier
Yeah.
who was like screaming, and he had the deepest voice ever.
Which is most of his horror videos, but
Yeah, and it was just like it just like kind of pulled me in, right? I was like, this is super cool. It's like when you go to a buddy's house to watch him play a game, but it's at the convenience of like looking at it on your phone, right? And I was like, this is kind of neat. I like this idea. And it turns out it was like this whole big thing. Like I had no idea it existed until this moment, and it's like this whole community. And I was like looking at these comments and stuff, and everybody was like, "Oh, he's just trying to be PewDiePie or whatever." And I was like, "Well, who the hell is PewDiePie?" And so I look him up, and I see that he's like got 50 quadrillion subscribers or whatever. And I was like, "Oh God." Yeah, so that's how I learned about all that Let's Play stuff.
I learned
the horror
I
games.
learned about all of them during that time too. It was I had watched him when he first started playing that. Watched him the whole way through. It's a great time, and to see how things evolved from there.
Yeah, I think it's a cool idea because like it does kind of bring us back to the fact of, you know, enjoying horror games with your friends, right? Where playing by yourself is absolutely horrifying, but if you play it with friends, you get a good laugh. And you know, if you don't have any buddies that like playing horror games, or you don't like playing horror games yourself and have your buddies over to watch you, you know, get spooked, then you have these Let's Play videos on YouTube that you can just laugh at a guy being completely terrified, you know, playing the game. That's a lot of fun.
Playing with your friends is a lot like the scene from Accepted where Jonah Hill screams like a girl and then asks everybody, "I'd appreciate it if you don't tell everyone I scream like that." That's just a bunch of us friends screaming and then going, "Please don't tell anyone."
Please. Oh man, it is. Oh man, and it's so funny, like the stuff that'll get you to jump too, right? Like I remember when we were playing Labyrinthine, and and we were going through that, and we were finding out, like I think it was like the second level where you're like underground and doing these mazes. And I won't give you any spoilers or anything for the game. If you check out Labyrinthine, it's a great game. We had a good time playing that one. It's pretty much, you know, going through mazes and figuring out puzzles while, you know, monsters are afoot. But we had a lot of fun with it. But there was this one level that we were in, and every now and again, while you're walking through the maze, you'll have these barriers form, right? That'll like cut you off from your buddies, and you have to find a way around to either get back to your buddies, or you can just say screw it and go try to figure out the puzzle on your own. Yeah, and the one level that we were playing, these barriers came up, and they were, I think they were iron bars or something. That just like,
yeah.
And it created the loudest noise. Like it doesn't matter how low you had your volume on that game.
I hated it.
It just completely obliterated your eardrums.
Oh, I hated it.
And it would scare the living crap out of me. Where like, where, you know, when you're playing with your mouse and keyboard, and you know, when you get scared enough, like your mouse goes all over the place, right?
Every time.
Oh my god. Just like the amount of shake, and then you didn't know where you were looking. And yeah, I tried to tell that to you and our other buddy that was playing with us, that like there was one moment where you like asked how I was keeping my composure, something to that effect. And I was like, just look at my character. You know, when something like that happens, look how crazy my character goes, like looking around and stuff, because that's me jumping out of my seat and throwing my mouse all over the place.
I imagine that if you could see me, the character would just make almost a full 360, or at least go complete left to right to left to right.
Yep.
It was a fun time, but a terrible time.
That was a good game, though. I really enjoyed that one. Is there any games that you have any big recommendations for, as far as cooperative play, games you can play with your friends, scary games?
Games that I've enjoyed that we have been playing nonstop. Now it's been changing because eventually, like, some of them have gotten dulled down because we played it so often.
Yeah,
like,
it started getting a little stale.
I enjoyed us playing Phasmophobia. It was a great game to play with friends. Ghost Exorcism Incorporated, another great game, because they added a few other mechanics that Phas didn't have. Then we got through that, really wore it down a bit, so now we've been on to...
Yeah, what's this new one called?
Ghost Watchers.
Ghost Watchers. Yeah, so we just played, like, I just played this Ghost Watchers last night with you and our other buddy, and yeah, it's not too dissimilar from Ghost Exorcism Inc., but I mean, like, they're all, you know, in the same ballpark for the most part, but they have different things to set them apart, you know, different little things that set them apart. So different mechanics that kind of reinvigorate the genre, where it makes it fresh again. So like when you're getting stale on one game, you pick up one of these, and there's different mechanics you need to try and get used to, and yeah, it like breathes new life into it, which we really appreciate. I know a lot of people, you know, they don't like the whole recycled, you know,
recycled ideas.
Yeah. But, you know, we love that main idea so much. But if we stick to one game, we get used to everything. We get into a rhythm. We don't really get scared. And there's none of that spoopiness going on that we can't adapt to, and we know all the tools of the trade and how to just fly in, get the job done, and dip out, right? So it stops being as, you know, exciting as it once was. So when a different game comes out with the same idea but different levels, character models, tools, you know, mechanics in which to pacify the ghost or whatever it is, it keeps us entertained, and I mean, I myself am appreciative, you know, that there is that market, you know, for recycling the ideas but putting a spin on it. I enjoy it. I enjoy it myself.
And as you said, we also played Labyrinthine, which our buddy had asked me, just he and I. He says, "You want to play Labyrinthine?" And I go, "Not without him. I will not play the game without Merle." It's I say, because you and I, we just get killed. We go in there, we get murdered. Merle just goes unscathed for most of the match.
Oh, man.
But the one, and we could never truly replicate the way it felt, and you're gonna know what I'm talking about when I get there, is when we finally found you in the maze, and we're like, there you are, and you turn around and you shh, to which whatever it was that was there finds us and just starts killing everyone down the line. It was hilarious. It was just like the one moment where we finally find you in the maze.
Yep. Yep. Oh, that was hilarious. Yeah, absolutely. Because you guys are all excited, and I was like, wait. I was like, oh no.
Now's not the time.
Oh, man. Just shut up. Shut up.
He's here.
Oh, man.
And all you hear is that. And we all just die. It is a great time.
That was good. 10 out of 10. Would die again.
10 out of 10 would die again.
Thank you for joining us on the Merle and Locke podcast. If you enjoyed this banter, please consider becoming a patron by going to patreon.com/Merle and Locke, or simply follow the link in the description. Thank you.